Good evening, everyone.
Oh,
let me turn it on, I'm sorry.
Power on.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending. My name is Julie Reyes, Chairperson of Community Board 8.
That's the most intelligent thing we've heard in a while.
Okay, I'd like to first thank the Riverdale Y for hosting the community board this evening. And just for some housekeeping rules, any board member marked absent but attending via Zoom, you may, you may participate, but you are not eligible to vote. And a reminder to the board members, during the course of the board meeting, kindly raise your hand and wait to be acknowledged by the chairperson to speak. We will start with the public gallery session. Members of the public who have signed up to speak may address the board during the first portion of the meeting at the gallery session. You will have 3 minutes to speak, and there will be no more than 5 speakers at the gallery session. Anyone wishing to speak in the future must call the board office in advance and state the topic to be covered. And the board office telephone number is 718-884-3959. You may also contact the board office via email or come onto our website if you wish to be put onto our mailing list. Board members may ask questions of speakers, during which time their 3-minute clock is stopped, but you may not engage in discussions or statements during the time reserved for the gallery session. The community is welcome to attend committee meetings where they will have more of an opportunity to engage and discuss their issues. Again, contact the board office if you wish to be put on to any committee list. So we'll start with the first gallery speaker, Dr. Vanessa Moreno. We'll give you a microphone.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Dr. Moreno. I'm a dentist in the community and as well as a public health advocate from the CUNY School of Public Health. And today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the local law to amend the administrative code of the city of New York in relation to decreasing civil penalties and prohibiting issuance of the food service establishment permit for outstanding penalties for violations of the Fair Work Week law, which is INT 0666/2024. So a lot of you might be wondering, why does a dentist care about the Fair Work Week law? It's a good question. So I was that waiter at Applebee's who would leave a French fry on the floor or seemingly went on vacation when, drinks weren't even ordered before I went to school. And so I was responsible. I took on a lot of different extra shifts so I could pay for school, but I never performed my best. And the goal of this law is to improve employer compliance with the Fair Work Week law, which guarantees restaurant workers fair treatment, predictable hours, and protections from retaliation against vulnerable employees. I just wanted to provide some context and share some key research findings that I found. In terms of lack of compliance, many top restaurant chains like Chipotle and Panda Express are frequent violators of the Fair Work Week law. And since its implementation in 2017, the Department of Consumer and Worker Protections, or DCWP, received over 500 complaints, resulting in more than $25 million in fines and restitution for over 17,000 workers. Yet violations persist, and this is coming from the New York City Comptroller's Office. Inadequate penalties. So while workers may receive some restitution, typically around the order of $500 per violation per employee, penalties for employers can be much higher, and this creates an imbalance that doesn't fully support workers. And so complaints about worker protections as a whole have been skyrocketed at 260% in just 1 year, which begs the question of these investigations. So the average time to resolve complaints has grown dramatically as well, from 64 days in 2018 to 345 days, almost a year in 2022, highlighting inefficiencies in enforcement. And as you can imagine, these jobs also disproportionately affect women of color and those caregiving responsibilities. Unstable work schedules can also harm children's well-being of parents who are affected, affecting their sleep, behavior, and overall health. So at the heart of this issue is really just a disrespect for restaurant workers, and the law is meant to protect them. This bill would create a more fair, respectful work environment, benefiting workers, consumers, and the overall economy. I just want to thank you for supporting me and hearing me today. And I also appreciate the opportunity to speak with the community. I look forward to presenting in the Economic Development Committee tentatively on December 3rd, where I hope to continue this discussion.
Thank you. Sergey, you have a question?
Yes, thank you for that presentation. What was the intro number?
0666 2024, previously 0613 2022.
And did you say this would prevent the licensing if there are open complaints?
So the last public hearing with the DCWP, there was talk around the DCWP commissioner's ability to invoke complete revocation of permits for repeat offenders, which the agency has not looked into yet. The last public hearing, I believe, was in April of 2024, and law has not been passed, so it's still in the bill phase. But the idea is that complete revocation would be ideal to deter this kind of behavior from employers.
I see, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Moreno. Our next speaker, Oliver Rivera.
First, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. What time I started, let me go. So just the intro to myself, my name is Oliver Rivera. I reside at 3119 Bailey Avenue. I serve on the board there now. Been living there about 7 years. I have 2 daughters. And I'm a project manager at Yeshiva University. So I come here today to talk to you about the renovation of the Bailey Playground on 234th and Bailey Avenue. I sent some information that you could review in presentation form. Just some facts about parks and why my community is requesting a better park is having a good park nearby can improve the quality of life in many ways and helps when battling depression, anxiety, and stress. Making sure that all people have access to a clean nearby park and outdoor programming is critical in ways to increase positive effects on health and quality of life for all communities. These quality of life issues include mental health, physical health, and community resilience by providing shade, which boosts the feeling of independence in children and adults. We are looking for a park with robust sections like built-in exercise equipment, 2 sets of swings for different age groups, 2 playgrounds for different age groups, including monkey bars, a rock climbing wall, appropriate slides and climb-ups, adding some cool sprinklers, glass backboards and new rims at the basketball courts, and a tennis court to be created in the open area in the back. We propose that we establish a budget for the design and planning phase and the construction phase of this project, assuming it will be twofold. I plan to meet with Deborah Travis from Parks and Recreation on Thursday, 11/14, to elaborate more on the information of how the budget functions to have this done. I would also like to mention, as shown in the presentation that I sent, that the green space leading to 238th Street on Bailey Avenue should be used as a nature walk that brings you into an entrance into the grounds after the park and exits a few streets down. I just think it's a good use of space. It's kind of abandoned now. Lastly, Bailey Playground has hosted a birthday party for my then 2-year-old, the one who is 6 years old now, in which a lot of family and friends gathered and created memories. When I want to spend Saturdays and Sundays in a nice park nowadays, I'm forced to go to either Independence Avenue or Mother Cabrini in Washington Heights. My neighbors and my community are deserving of a well-built playground for our community. So that's what I come here to request today.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. We did receive all the documents that you sent over. Does anyone have any questions?
Thanks. I see that Deb is here virtually. But I did want to mention the reconstruction of the Bailey Playground has been the number one priority, budget priority of the Parks Committee for several years now. And it has been the number one priority of the Community Board budget requests for several years. We're well aware of the condition of that playground, which frankly is appalling. As I've said many times, it looks like a parking lot, not a park. It's all pavement, it's all asphalt. And the green area to the north that you mentioned should be incorporated into the playground. That has also been a request of the Parks Committee for several years. So I'm on the Parks Committee. I look forward to your coming to the next Parks Committee meeting. And we'll discuss it further, but as I said, the Community Board is well aware of the problem and really trying to do something about it.
Thank you, Bob. Any other questions? Okay, we'll go on to our last speaker, Mr. Isaiah.
I apologize. I had this written, waiting on my wife to bring it. Good evening, Community Board 8 members. My name is Isaiah Barrow. I'm a father, community activist, and co-founder of We Are Dairy 9, a nonprofit dedicated to empowering the Kingsbridge area. Alongside my business partner, Shakir Seegers, we are committed to working with you to build a stronger and more connected community. At We Are Dairy 9, we focus on creating meaningful opportunities and fostering mentorship through essential services. Everything from food distribution to educational programs. We believe that the communities invest in their members, they cultivate shared values and collective pride. One of our top priorities is safety, particularly for the elderly residents. We support initiatives that enhance community policing, improve lighting, and provide accessible transportation. These measures are crucial in ensuring our elderly feel both protected and connected to the community. We also recognize that access to opportunities can break cycles of poverty. That's why we aim to create pathways for education, job training, financial literacy by offering resources like affordable childcare, housing support. We can alleviate burdens on hardworking families, empowering individuals to improve the circumstance, in turn give back to the community. For our youth, we want to expand extracurricular activities, sports, arts, and tutoring programs that provide safe, positive environments. By partnering with local schools and community centers, we can make these opportunities accessible and affordable. Mentorship, community, and opportunity are powerful drivers in change that help individuals reach their potential and strengthen our neighborhoods. Together with local organizations, businesses, and you, Community Board 8, we can make a lasting impact on Kingsbridge residents. Thank you for allowing me to share our mission. We look forward to collaborating with you, making Kingsbridge a place where everyone has a chance to thrive. You guys can be sure to follow us on social media at We Are Dairy 9. You can write us via email, wearedairy9@gmail.com, and check out our website at wearedairy9wixsite.com. And yes, that's my wife. That's Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for all the work that you and your group have been doing in the community. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, that concludes our gallery session. And now we will hear from the mayor's office. Mr. Well, you know, I thought I settled all this months ago and everyone agreed that we will have an agenda and everyone will go accordingly. Mr. Dinowitz, Assemblyman Dinowitz will definitely, you know.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Alina Dow. I'm the Bronxboro Director for the Mayor's Community Affairs. Nice to see you all. Coming to the end of the year, so I just wanted to bring some of the accomplishments that the mayor is very proud to have shared with the community. I'll leave it up here just because for time's sake. I just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware of the new rule that came out for single-family homes and small buildings up to 9 units. This is gonna be the new garbage can that is supposed to be purchased, and you're able to get it from Home Depot. So I did just want to share that with you tonight. I know that that's something that's happening, and a lot of people have been anxious about what that is gonna look like. So for the first couple of weeks, there is going to be some warnings. So no tickets right now, but there are gonna be warnings, and then after a certain time period, there are gonna be tickets. So if you have any issues where people are just having to steal these garbage cans, please let me know right away so that I can help speak with the SNY and we could share some of the concerns. I know we've had seniors ask about different things in regards to getting free garbage cans. That is not something that has been able to happen just of yet. I do apologize, but you know, they are looking into other ways to be able to help some of the seniors with it. In addition to that, I did want to share that I have followed up with our situation that we mentioned, and I'm also following up with Tibet. So we're anticipating something happening soon. Other than that, if anyone needs me, I will give you my contact information. I'm gonna be here the entire evening. Good to see you all.
Thank you, Alina Dow. Does anyone have, Rosemary?
I guess that maybe it's unfair to ask you, but you're the mayor's representative. You know, as you say, you listen to seniors, they tell you that we need. Thank you. I apologize, even though I didn't do it. Okay. You say you hear from seniors about this. We, in the community, we hear and people ask us a lot of questions about a lot of things. And there has been a lack of information or description about the migrant shelter on migrant housing on Waldo Avenue and 238. Is there any way that the community or any community group or anybody can get specific information about where it stands and what, you know, I know a number of people ask me what's going on. Okay. Another number of people want to help the migrants there. Who can we contact to help? Okay, there's no information. So again, I'm sorry, that's my question. Is there any way to get information from the administration to educate the community about what's going on and maybe how they can help? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So with regards to migrant shelters and any shelters, the district manager, we do have district service cabinet meetings where our agencies that do represent the shelters do have a meeting with, you know, the internal offices, and they share certain information. So when it comes to shelters that are just getting ready to be opened, that is a specific timeline that has to be met. Usually the district manager is aware of it. It doesn't necessarily go out to the public because there is confidentiality and also sometimes safety issues that happen with shelters. But if there's a specific shelter that you are just wanting to know everything and all the details, what we can do is we can send a message to Farah and then she will contact me and we'll get in contact with HRA because like I said, all shelters are not really, we don't give information for every single shelter. Some are domestic violence shelters, some you might think are migrant shelters and some may not be. So there's a lot of different shelters that are opening. And one of the ways we'll do is we just go down the list and find out. And I apologize not to be able to give you as much information, but I will say that that is something that is being worked on because I cover 6 community boards. And oftentimes all the community wants to know about every shelter that's opening in their community. And they don't necessarily get the information right away, but I do know once everything is established, then they're able to find out more about it. Okay?
Thanks. I appreciate your response. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you, Alina. We have the report from the Brownsboro President's Office. Is anyone here representing? Okay, this one. Report from the 50th precinct, Ms. Catherine Tavares.
Yep.
Okay, I'll talk louder.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Captain Catherine Tavares. Can everybody hear me? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, good, thank you. I've been assigned to the 50th precinct for a little over 2 months, so this is my first community board meeting. Thank you for having me. Now I'm gonna go ahead and read our crime complaints for the 28-day period. We have a total of 118 crime complaints for 2024, for the 28-day period. Last year, we had 133, so we're down by 15, which is equivalent to 11.3%. I'm happy to report that we have no murders or rapes for the 28-day period. We are down for robberies, 6 versus 12, which is a difference of 6, which is 50%. Our grand larcenies are also down. We have a total of 40 versus 64, which is a difference of 24 or 37.5%. We do have a slight increase in our felony assaults, which is 26 versus 14, which is a difference of 12, 85.7%. In regards to those felony assaults, most of them are occurring inside and most of them are domestic. There's no notable incidents that to report. Also burglaries, we're slightly up, 13 versus 11, we're up by 2, which is 18.2%. We have no bias incidents to report for the period. And our GLAs are up, 33 versus 32, which is up by 3%, 3.1%. In an effort to reduce our vehicle thefts, we have been doing unannounced safety checkpoints. Our traffic safety officers are out there as well as our specialized units. One recommendation that I can make to the public is in regards to prevent any vehicle thefts. It's definitely to make sure you don't leave any valuable items in the car that will attract attention. Lock your cars and windows. Don't leave keys in the car, and never leave your car running. Those are my recommendations. Any questions in regards to that?
Any questions? I should have mentioned this during this portion of the meeting. Can you hear me? During this portion of the meeting, only community board members may participate. That's one of the reasons why I mentioned, please feel free to contact the board office so that you can participate in the committee meetings where you will be able to speak and have dialogue and conversate. At the monthly board meetings is basically the community board members speak. Marty?
Yes, I have a question and a comment. The question usually Chuck asks is there any report on hate crimes in the precinct? No. Okay. A comment, the land use committee set up a subcommittee to work with the people in Van Cortlandt Village. We had a site visit yesterday and it was reported to us that there are complaints about drug trafficking on Stevenson Place. And I don't know if you're aware of it or if you look into it, please.
I'm sorry, I'm not aware of that incident. I will definitely take a look at it and see what's going on.
I would say it's almost nightly thing.
Any other questions? Thank you, Captain.
Just one last thing. It was brought to my attention that we have 3 establishments that are up for renewal for liquor license. I didn't know if you wanted that information now. I mean, I looked into it, but no.
The public safety chairperson, Ed Green, has been in contact with the precincts and he'll be reporting later on this evening.
Email it to the staff.
Email us at
see you all.
All right, will do.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the council members' report. I see the only council member who is actually present is Councilmember Dinowitz.
Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. I want to start just with two comments on questions I had, then I'll get to a couple other things, but one was about the playground on Bailey Avenue. A few years back, we allocated a few $100,000 to the Tibbetts Tail, which is just that area south of 238th Street, to revitalize that and move the fence back to open that area up. So there is funding there for that. As far as the playground, I agree with you, and I will also speak for my colleague Pierina Sanchez. I know she agrees with it because we've been trying to get funding for that playground for years. It's something like $18 million to fully revitalize that playground. No small amount of money. So I did just want to mention those two things, that there's some money in that area and we are working on getting money, but it is a lot of money. The second is the shelter, the Waldo Avenue shelter. I think it was Rosemary. It sounded like Rosemary who asked the question. I'm going to tell you some information, but first I just have to tell you, it has been such a huge challenge getting DSS to the table to communicate with us. As you know, the contract was, of course, done in secret. Then we got the official notice. There was one moment during this saga where I got a text from the mayor's office saying furniture was moving in. That was about the only real communication we had. In August, the assembly member and I had a meeting with DSS and West Hab for the Waldo Avenue family shelter. And then it was sort of incommunicado since then. And then just today, we had a meeting where we got some of our answers. So I'll tell you just a few things. It's room for 91 rooms, and there are 40 families currently living there. So it's almost at half capacity. They have over 100 kids living in the shelter. So they don't have a timeline on when it'll fully be occupied. But the kids who did not stay in the school they were previously in have moved to one of two local schools, one of the local elementary schools, which has apparently the programs to support them, and a handful at a local high school, which apparently has the programs to support them. That's not something we've been able to follow up with yet. We had questions. Community members said they were concerned, as they've seen in other neighborhoods, that perhaps there would be e-bikes littering the streets. And so in August, the assembly member and I asked for a plan about where they would park in the event that there would be people who were doing food deliveries. They're going to park in the rear rampway, so it's not on the streets and it's not inside where it could be potentially dangerous. And Rosemary, I share your frustration. While West Hab has been meeting with this group called Friends of Waldo Avenue, it's a handful of people, we've been reaching out saying we want to help people like we did in the past, where my office collected hundreds and hundreds of bags. Many of you brought bags of clothes to my office to donate to the Van Cortlandt Motel and other shelters in the district. We've been really pushing them to let us help, and it's really been a struggle with them. And I've made sure that they've known just how frustrating it's been when you have a council member and an assembly member who are eager to help our newly arrived migrants or asylum seekers, and to have a city agency unwilling to work with them and the surrounding community that I think for the most part really just wants to help and wants answers. We did get the name of the contact person. It was in my recent email. I'm happy to share it now. The 24-hour contact information is 914-806-5928. The community contact is Robert Collazo. That's robert.collazo@westhab.org. And his number is 914-552-7043. Again, this was in my email, but I can share it with CBH so they can just get it out electronically to all of you. So that's the shelter. If you have other questions, happy to answer them, but that's the information we got just today. City of Yes, I know is big on your mind. It's big on my mind. I know this community board's position. I share a lot of the concerns, and if any of you were at or watched the hearing on, I think it was the 21st, I raised questions about even, the premise of the plan, where it's sort of being posited that if only we would expand as of right development, we could build more. We have a lot of R6 and R4 in our neighborhood that's underdeveloped. And not that I want to see super dense development everywhere and knocking down all our single family homes. But the fact is, developers can come in and build more than currently exists. And we see it happening all over our district anyway. So I still concerned about even the premise of doing it, the notion that we should give up kind of more of the community boards and the council members' voice in development. And of course, the abolition of parking minimums is perhaps the most contentious one throughout the council, where people like me say in our neighborhoods, we really rely on our cars to get across the Bronx. People in other districts say you really need to get rid of parking minimums if you want to maximize the amount of apartments that you can build. We are working on modifications in the council. Until those modifications come forward, I'm not going to state a position on the bill, but those will be coming forth soon. The subcommittee vote is in a few weeks. Is shortly. I think in 2 weeks we vote on this. Always appreciate your feedback. A number of you have already given it to me directly or through ericdinowitz.nyc/city of yes. That's my online Google form, ericdinowitz.nyc/city of yes. And I'll end with sanitation. I know the sanitation bin rules were mentioned. I do also want to mention my office is co-hosting with DSNY composting workshops. So if you're a building or a community organization that wants to do workshops on the new curbside composting, which we passed in the city council, I'm very proud of that. My office is happy to work with you and do those workshops in your building, in your community group. And we can even, depending on supply, get some of those individual countertop compost bins. And we're happy to distribute those to all of you. We have a few in my office now, but we're working on getting more. And I will leave it there and just thank all of you for coming out to the community board meeting.
Thank you, Councilmember Dinowitz. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, no questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our council members Sanchez or De La Rosa on the line. If so, please raise your hand. I don't see. So I will just say for Councilmember De La Rosa, she'll be hosting a City of Yes Housing Opportunity Town Hall on November 19th from 6 to 8 p.m. at 4360 Broadway in Manhattan. And the housing chairperson, Rashida Hilliard, and land use chair, Mertla, myself, and district manager, Arakil Rubin, who will be meeting with her prior to that. Okay, so we finished with item number 6. And if any representatives from the other two council members are on the line, when we get to the end of the meeting, if we have time, we will give you 1 minute to speak. I do an agenda every month. No, I know. Okay, 3 minutes. Okay. Every day is so concerned about you. Can I have you on my agenda? Yeah.
It's nice to be concerned about.
I am concerned. That's why I added you on. You were never on the agenda before, just to make note of that. So now we're going to go on to item number 7, elected officials. Assemblyman Jeffrey Dinowitz.
Where shall I stand?
Just
Wherever.
you can stand there, right there.
Oh, I thought there was like a camera or something. I don't think we got a camera though. Who cares? Hello, everybody. First, I want to say thank you to most of you. Why do I say most of you? Because I got 70%, so most of you probably voted for me. But even if you didn't, thank you for voting. It was mostly a good election, and so you got to the top. And I don't want to talk politics, but I've seen reports that the incoming president won by a landslide. Just so you know, he won by 2.1%. Landslide, I don't know. But this community voted very heavily for our entire team, and so on behalf of myself, I can't speak for anybody else, thank you. The ballot proposals, the one that I consider the most important was overwhelmingly supported statewide and within our community. That's the Equal Rights Amendment. The mayor's proposals, 4 of them passed, 1 of them failed. Interesting which one failed, by the way. But you can probably get all the results if you go on the Board of Elections website. I just want to mention a few things, since the clock is really moving fast. One, I may have mentioned this at the last meeting, but the governor signed my legislation to significantly to quadruple the number of red light cameras in the city of New York. And I think the council will have to take some action. But once that is implemented, there'll be many, many more red light cameras. Now, not everybody likes red light cameras. Sorry. But what I've discovered is that if you don't pass red lights and endanger people's lives, you never get a red light camera ticket. So that's the good thing. But at some point, there will be a significant increase in the number of cameras, and that will save lives, because that's what's happened at the locations where we currently have red light cameras. The council members spoke about the meeting that we had concerning the migrant shelter on 238th and Waldo Avenue. I just wanted to add 2 things. One, the people from West Ave did say that they've spoken to people in the community. They said, oh, they handed out their cards to some of the businesses, and they met with, I forget the name of the group, but it was a group that's supportive of the shelter, which is fine. But I said, you really need to talk to everybody. You can't just talk to the people who are going to tell you what you want to hear. You got to talk to people who may tell you things you don't want to hear. And I particularly suggested that they reach out to some of the buildings, the co-ops, or particularly 3800 Waldo Avenue, which is right across the street, which has a lot of apartments. And I said, maybe they're not gonna like everything you have to say, but you gotta give people information, because the city has been horrible, in my opinion, about getting information to people, and you at least gotta tell them. Oh, no, that thing is wrong. And the other thing is, we told them, we got complaints that there are no window guards. Now, the people who raised the issue, maybe they're doing it in good faith or not, but the fact that the apartments there, 100% of which will have young children in it, do not have window guards. It's the claim of West Ave and the administration that they don't have to provide window guards because of, I don't know, I read the law very carefully. It looks to me like they are required to have window guards, but you know what? Even if the law says it's okay to have these, I don't know what you call them, these things that prevent the windows from being lifted too high, even if it's legally okay not to have window glass, but rather to have those other things that prevent the windows from being lifted too high, put the window guards in, for God's sakes. I said, are the children there second-class children? Why should they not have the same protection? If we think it's important for every apartment where there are young kids to have window guards, then the kids in the shelter ought to have the window guards as well. Of course, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Does it cost money? Yeah, it probably costs some money, but not compared to all the money that gets, wasted on other things. This is important. So let's see how quickly that happens. And because I like to comply with rules and regulations, and my time is up, I'm gonna stop. But I'll be happy to answer any questions, because that doesn't count against my time.
Rosemary?
Okay. Just very quickly, the red light cameras, the thing that, I know you can't answer this question, but it really offends me. I stand at a red light and stop, and there are electric bikes and bikes that rush right through the red lights. The red light cameras do not help us with those, do they? Is there any way to face that issue?
Well, it's true that the red light cameras only help if a vehicle has a legitimate license plate. There are a lot of vehicles that don't have license plates at all, and we know that a lot of the smaller vehicles, the scooters, the mopeds, the motorcycles, they're just going through lights like they're not there. That is happening, but we have this other thing called enforcement. I mean, the police would still be allowed to give out tickets, I haven't noticed that a lot of that is happening. I don't think that that's been a priority of the police to do stuff like that, but I think it's really important because people are getting run over. And it's really bad, and I think it's clear that since the advent of the pandemic, a lot of the rules that we have, especially rules on the road, have just gone out the window. And we've all seen it, we know it's true. It's not only the red lights, it's the noise, it's the speeding, it's the donuts, it's everything. And from what I've seen, there's not been a lot of enforcement. One of the good things about the red light cameras is that it also will reduce the number of interactions between the police and motorists. Because more people will be getting tickets from the cameras. And by the way, 600 cameras around the city is like a tiny percentage. So it's not like there's gonna be cameras all over the place. But you're right about that. But the police are well within their rights to stop people and issue tickets. And I wish, and I know they do some of that, but I wish they would do more of that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Assemblyman Dinowitz. We will go on to the next section, roll call. Sylvia Alexander.
Give me 1 second.
She's on the Zoom. Yeah, Sylvia.
I'm asking her to unmute.
Sylvia, can you hear us?
She's talking.
She's talking.
Just gonna make this one present. Debbie Allen. Constance Barnes Watson. Bob Bender.
Here.
Carol Blake. Kelly Buford. Joy Campbell Privateer. Present. Sebastian Chittilapoli. Lee Chong.
Present. Yes, she is.
Dr. Wayne DeVita.
Present.
Ingrid De Leon. Margaret Della present. Johanna Edmondson. Nicholas Fazio.
Present.
Stephen Fruit.
Present.
David Gelman. Mary Ellen Lynn Gibbs.
Present.
Rosemary Ginty. Here. Dr. Julia Gomez. Edward Green.
Present.
Rashida Hilliard. Here. Barbara Kale. Rabbi Kaplan. Josh Land. Oscar Martinez. Charles Merdler. Omar Murray. Angel Ortega. Julie Reyes. Present. Adriana Rivera. Here. Daniel Rowan. Georgia Santiago.
She's online.
I'll come back to her.
Here, yeah.
She is.
Yep, okay.
Georgia, if you can hear me,
Yeah, she's.
okay, thank you. Ramdat Singh. Jessica Sosa. Cesar Tobar Acosta.
Howdy.
Oh, excuse me, Laura Spalter. Jill Towns. Deborah Travis. No. Sergio Villaverde. Kevin Wade. Aaron Walker. Martin Wolpoff.
Present.
And Emily.
Is that Margaret that's taking the attendance?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
Sylvia. I'm here. I'm on Zoom.
All right, Emily, I passed over your name, but I checked you off. I saw your face. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you, Margaret. Having a form, we'll go on to item number 9. Thank you. Having a quorum, we'll go on to item number 9, the approval of the board minutes. We have 3 separate minutes, September 12th, 2024. Any edits or comments? October 8th, 2024, board minutes. Any edits or comments? October 29th, 2024, any edits or comments? Okay, so then I move that we accept the minutes as is.
So
Any-
moved.
Any abstentions? Opposed? All in favor? Thank you. Item number 10, any discussions on executive committee minutes of September 4th, 2024? No discussion, we'll go on to item number 11, district managers report.
Hi, good evening. Sorry. Okay. Good evening, everyone. As
Evening, Farrah.
As we move into fall and winter, we will continue to do more events throughout the year. We recently tabled at a great event with KRBC, Boo on Mashaloo. We had a lot of families who stopped by to get our Halloween goodie bags and resources. And thank you to our volunteers, Julie Reyes, Mary Ellen Gibbs, and our staff for helping out. We also tabled at the monthly Theory 9 food distribution. It was a great event. There were a lot of people there. It was at Ford Independence Park. And again, thank you to Julie and Ingrid for helping out with staff. It was, a sight to see how many people were there in need of food, and they seemed to be very happy to get resources from us, including our housing and senior guides. I'm also happy to confirm we will be doing our Thanksgiving turkey giveaway again this year. We're aiming for Monday, November 25th, and want to thank Stag Group for generously donating. I'm hoping to get about 200 to 250 turkeys this year. We also had a giveaway from New York Botanical Gardens, who gave us a very small amount of tickets for our community for the Nightmare Before Christmas light trail event. And those tickets were taken within minutes of us posting it, and the community seemed to be very happy and appreciative and had a great time. We also want to thank board member Bob Bender, who went to the volunteered to speak on behalf of the board with students for a career day event at the Bronx Engineering and Technology Academy. Thank you, Bob. And we were invited recently to an InTech College March event. It's an annual event they have on December 6th. And you're literally marching to different schools in the area, PS 37, PS 7, PS 207. And it signifies the students' culmination in completing their college post-secondary application process. So I'll send more information on that if anyone would care to join. I have submitted our FY26 budget priorities for Bronx CB8 with the New York City Planning Commission, and I will post that as soon as we get the agency responses. Now we move on to FY27. Chairperson Reyes and I have been meeting with our elected officials, and we will submit specific funding requests to their offices by January for our budget needs in our district. I have held my monthly district service cabinet meeting November 6th, and my next one will be December 3rd. So as always, if you have any issues you want me to bring up with our city agencies, please send them to me. I posted our summer into fall newsletter and hope you had a chance to review it. We made a few copies here if anyone would like to see it. And there were a lot of great things that our board has accomplished, so we're very proud of that. Again, I just need to express that we always need to have our agendas, minutes, and resolutions within the 10-minute window. And I'm sorry, 10-day window. Lastly, I hope you all had a very nice Veterans Day. Thank you to our veterans for your service. And if anyone has any questions, we can answer them now. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. We'll move on to the next item, committee reports and resolutions. Please be mindful of the time. If information is in the minutes, please just highlight the issues. And reminding during the course of the board meeting, kindly raise your hands and wait to be acknowledged by the chairperson to speak. First committee will be law, rules, and ethics.
Thank you. 3 items I want to raise. First is the Senator Rivera was here for the last meeting, and we asked him about the joke before the Senate that passed last year concerning a quorum of 1/4 rather than a quorum of 1/2. The follow-up meeting between our chair and Senator Rivera. Based on that, he responded to us. He supports it. We don't. He supports it. I wrote him a letter on behalf of the committee indicating why I thought we should discuss further why I thought that his logic was a concern to us. And I'll wait to hear from him. The important issue before us tonight is ADA. And we've been concerned about what kind of resolution to bring before the board. And we finally decided not to bring any resolution before the board. We have a committee which is supposed to have as many as possible lawyers. And at the advice of our lawyers, even though I received a letter from the law department of the city, giving us a general okay, it really was not specific enough. And our lawyers were concerned that given all of the court and legal precedent concerning ADA, we should not be writing up our own rules. As a result, we recommend that the ADA, I'm going to read the 4 things from our minutes, and I ask you might want to read it. It was written by a lawyer, so I thank Steve for doing the minutes. The ADA and related state and city laws and regulations exist independently of the OML, and there is no specific requirement in the OML that any procedures be adopted by resolution. It is likely that decisions on ADA accommodations will be made on a case-by-case basis, and standards will evolve naturally over time. The types of justifications for ADA accommodation will be far more limited than the panoply of reasons for requests for EC status. Any decision on ADA accommodation will apply equally to board meetings and committee meetings attendance. Only one decision need be made for any given board member's request, and that would come from the chair of the board. And so, as we are doing now, those who believe that they have a reason for ADA should be in contact with the chair of the board, how she handles it, whether she delegates or makes decisions on her own over the course of time. The parameters will become more obvious. This is not EC. It's not, I lost my homework this morning. I don't want to come in to a meeting tonight. It's because you are ill, and that is a private matter between the chair and the member of the board, the chair of the board. And once that decision is made, it applies to all committees. And so people will be notified that these people qualify, and that's our report on that issue. And finally, we have felt that there's been a lot of looseness and lack of definition when it comes to the question of the community board giving award, the community board committees giving awards to members of the public, which we fully support. However, and you have in your package the first resolution, we have come up with a set of criteria which we leave every committee that wishes to give it an award has to meet these criteria. And once these criteria are submitted, the board by resolution has to approve those awards. And so those that exist already and have not met this standard need to, in effect, reapply. And we also included in this resolution just a suggestion. We believe that giving out all these awards in June does not make any sense for the board, particularly. And so there's a calendar of suggested dates or months when these awards might be given out. And we leave that entirely to the individual committees as they submit their criteria to include that information. So there's a resolution. I don't want to read it, but I ask you all to consider it. It's in front of you, and I place that before the board tonight.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion on the resolution? Sergio?
Thank you. No, I'm speaking against the resolution, Madam Chair. When our esteemed chair of the committee says that there's a looseness around things, maybe it's a personal thing. I'm a little more laissez-faire, that each committee should be able to set their own criteria. And I believe what this does is prescribe to the level of detail of no self-nominations, when maybe a committee feels that would be appropriate. It is just offensive to the committee process, because it's one committee telling every other committee you have to do it like this. And I'm a military guy, I believe in uniformity, but not for everything. And I think this goes into too much detail, into telling specific other committees what to do. We need to trust our committees. We need to trust our committee chairs. We need to trust the members. And theme maybe for me now at this point, I don't think we need to micromanage every committee and every decision the chair makes. I was in favor of letting the chair decide what the ECs are, because I believe that's what we vote for chairs for. And the same thing on the committee. So I am very, very opposed to this as it stands. They're not just general guidelines, and they're not necessary. Committees have been doing this on their own for a long time. Thank you.
Marty? Okay, but I have, so you want to respond to that now? Okay, Marty?
In appreciation for what has been, what Sergio has said, I think it's been too loose. And the bottom line of all of this, it may be authorized, it may be initiated by a committee. It is allegedly a board award. It's being given by the board. And the board is giving it, and the purpose of the resolution is for uniformity. And there are many questions that have come up last year and this year concerning who is offered the awards, why they were offered the awards, and were there any allusions to the award that should not be there. So this does not say what a committee has to do. It just says, establishes the criteria.
Thank you, Marty. Steve? Oh, I think only one mic at a time can be on, so we can, everybody else turn it on.
That's all. That's all. That's all.
It's from the mic over there.
It's from Steve's mic.
It's from Steve.
That's all. It's off. It's off.
I just wanted to second what Marty just said. There is the criteria for each award, whether it's a special committee appointed to give an award or a committee that gives a particular award, they'll set the criteria. It'll come to a board vote so that the criteria get established. And it's not to take away the committee's discretion to think about what the best way to approach each award is. It's rather so that the board can approve those criteria because the awards are all given in the name of the full board. And they're always voted in the name of the full board. And so that's really, this is just a way of implementing what we have always intended this to be. It's not anti-committee.
Any other questions or comments? Nick?
Hold it. Yep.
there you go.
Yeah, I concur with Sergio. I don't think it's to say that it's anti-committee, but I do see that it is, could be sort of overly litigious in a way, micromanaging. I think it's another tendency that we have to over legislate things. In the past, it was left to the committee discretion with the approval of the chair of the board, and I think that there's no reason for that to change at this point, other than to give people more work to do, when really the premise or the point of the awarding community awards is to do something nice for people in the community, not to make it another thing that we're gonna debate and discuss and take up more of committee's time when as it is, their agendas are quite full. As a former chair, I can attest to that. So I concur. I'm voting against the resolution as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Deb Travis?
Hi there, everybody. Good evening. I just wanted to say that I think this is a good idea because I think it establishes some structure around the award that ensures that the award will be distributed consistently from year to year, which I think will actually adds meaning. I mean, as a person myself who received the Irving Latimer Award, I do appreciate and kind of consider myself to be with one of everyone who also receives it, who has received it and who will receive it, and it gives it meaning. And I think that by establishing some of this criteria, it only has to, the rules themselves only really need to be voted on by the board once. So while there's like a little bit of extra work in the beginning, I think it then kind of creates a consistency so that as different chairs are in charge of the committee, that from year to year, that award is given out. There's an expectation about it, and that there's a clear understanding of what that process looks like. So I understand that the first time you give it out, there may be a bit of extra work, but I think that in the end, it makes the award more valuable and meaningful to the people who receive it. So I support this, and thank you to the folks who did all the work to put these guidelines together.
Thank you, Deb. Bob Bender?
All right, I'm live. Each committee will still have the most important authority that it needs, which is to decide who deserves the award that they're giving. And I think to have certain criteria around it, such as are suggested in this resolution, seems perfectly logical to me because as Marty said, and as other people have said, it is a community board award. And to have a requirement such as no self-nominations, it seems astonishing to me that somebody who is deserving of an award can't find one other person in the community who thinks this person is so worthy that the person should be nominated for an award. I mean, that seems to me to be utterly basic and hardly impinges in any way on the committee's work. So I am strongly in favor of this resolution, and I hope the board will vote for it. I think it's perfectly reasonable. And as I say, it still leaves the most important element in all of this to the discretion of the individual committees, which is to decide who deserves the award. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
I'm also in support of this. I think that
it also allows, it's sort of just a baseline. It's like you have to meet these minimums and you can add any additional criteria the committee may deem appropriate. So I feel like you grow out what criteria meets your thing, but it just has to, this is just a way of making it so we don't have the mess that happened last year. Where we did have too much discussion later on the board level that could have been solved before it came to the whole board. If you at least started with something.
Thank you, Daniel. Emily?
I agree with what you're saying, except that the criteria, the letter E where it says the criteria for establishing any award should be approved by the vote of the full board. That to me takes away a lot of goes back to what you're saying. I think I could get on board with it if that wasn't.
Madam Chair, I do have a new point. If everyone's
Rosemary?
Sorry, just one point to Emily's point. Awards are given out on behalf of the community board. Therefore, the criteria that the community board should look at to say yes or no is important. That's why it's in there. Awards are not given by committees, they're given by the community board. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. I would just like to say.
No, one more point.
Yeah. Okay, let me just say this though. Many board members are leaving soon, and not to have a basic set of principles, rules, and guidance would be neglectful for us today. This is not really changing much. It's only putting in place a guideline for future board certificates. Thank you.
I mean, if these were suggestions that, and I'm not going to speak again, I'll repeat myself, but there was a good point that I had overlooked. It would be, according to the guidelines in here, there's no veterans award possible. Because military members get paid. And a reading of this, they would not be eligible for the award. But that's the type of thing that comes up. It says salary. That's exactly what it reads. This is why we need flexibility, because what's the Economic Development Committee Award is not the same as the Irving Latimer Award. That may not be the same as the Veterans Award. And this will, as written, end the Veterans Award. Because you understand, military people get paid. So their service is paid service. It's salaried service. So this is exactly an example of the type of trap we fall into when we try to micromanage that level.
Thank you, Sergio. And I just like the privilege since I have the mic. It's not micromanaging. It's called rules, guidance. It's part of life. It's part of organizations. It is not micromanaging. Debbie?
I agree with Sergio. When you start to drill down, people lose the opportunity, and then you don't even realize that there's this other layer that now you've put out there. And I've been one of those people that didn't get an award that was written one way, but then they changed 2 or 3 words in it, and then I didn't get it. And I was deserving, my opinion, because of something like this. I agree with Sergio. And I understand that there's, a lawyer's mind is different than the general public. But when you start to wordsmith and you add things in, it does make a difference in the end. And there are people that are veterans that would be eliminated from this.
Thank you.
I
Any
can say
other?
one thing, I
You
imagine,
have to be acknowledged first. Thank you. Daniel?
is I think what he meant was they couldn't be salaried for what you were giving them the award for. Are you giving them award just for being a veteran and not for doing anything different than what they were paid for, or for?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, if you give your life in the service of your country and you live in this neighborhood and that's all you did, we would consider you for the award. Yes, and you would not be able to be considered for the award under this criteria.
Given Sergio's comments, I think, it'd be amended so that after the word veterans or except for service to country. That's an amendment. So therefore, veterans who are paid except the service of country will be allowed to the award. An award.
Jill? We'll take two more and then we'll call it for a vote.
My take when I read this is based on the language is that EG is a for example. It's not something that defines any particular award. It's just an example of certain things that might be considered. So that's what my lawyer mind reads.
Thank you. One more, and then we'll call for a vote.
Bob.
Bob Bender?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, Bob and Steve, and then we'll go for the vote, unless Marty has a closing word.
Yeah, but before we vote, so just to be clear, Marty, are we amending the resolution? In other words, are we voting on a resolution with a friendly amendment that accepts the Veterans Award from the restriction on being salary? I just want to be clear on exactly what we're going to be voting on.
It had to be seconded, but that was my suggestion.
Yeah, you can use the mic, okay?
It hasn't been seconded, but that's my recommendation.
Mary Ellen just seconded. I second. Anyone opposed? Abstain? So accepted.
All right, Susan.
It's the amendment.
Yeah,
For the
for the
amendment.
amendment. Okay, you taught me a little. Okay, I had, somebody was behind, Stephen, Cesar, Marty, and then that's it. Stephen, Cesar, Marty, and then we'll call it a day.
Okay.
Thanks this week.
Oh, no, because,
One of the assumptions that he was abstaining and-
oh,
For the friendly,
for the friendly amendment, because Sergio made a good point about that would exclude veterans from being able to receive an award. So Marty amended it. Excuse me?
And the police too.
I don't know. So he amended it to say that if you're a veteran, you will be eligible for the award. If you're not getting paid for, well, you are getting paid as a veteran, so you can receive the award as a veteran.
They wouldn't be
Is
eligible.
that good?
Oh, I think it's all.
Okay, Stephen? Stephen, you had your hand raised when Bob was speaking?
He said. no.
Okay, so then no, then Karen?
I have a question about what the amendment is. I'm confused now.
Marty?
Is it except for service to country? Is it except for veterans? It's not clear.
It's pertaining to the veterans.
Be resolved under item B, limits on eligibility. For example, no CBA members, elected officials, or persons who are salaried for their service. Comma, parentheses, with the exception of military service for the country. Close parentheses.
What time is it?
8:20.
Okay, we're gonna call this because we'll be here all night.
Put the mic on. Julie, put the mic on.
We have a lot of reports to go on. We can call for the vote now,
I'd like to make a motion to table.
but I already did a motion to,
Second.
Yeah.
don't you have to answer mine before you go to his? So I made a motion to,
Call the
Call the
question.
question.
Call the question.
okay,
There was a motion. There's a motion table.
I'll second.
so your parliamentaries, I called it to vote. You seconded it. Any abstentions? Any opposed? On the resolution amended with item B, where it states elected officials or persons who are salaried for their service, except for military service personnel. We're voting on the
Resolution.
resolution that was submitted to you, and it was just amended by that one line. So that the veterans will be able to receive a community board award from the Veterans Committee.
And then I made a motion. After you recognize. the motion.
First, listen, I don't want to be here all night. I already made a resolution. You guys, a motion, you guys can either oppose the resolution, abstain, go for it, but let's take a vote because we have many committee members and committee chairs who have to give their reports. Call the vote?
Yep.
Okay, anyone abstain on this resolution as amended to allow the military personnel to receive?
Karen, Susan.
For the whole
Deanna,
resolution, as amended with that point.
Rhonda, Emily.
Probably best to do a voice.
Angel and Constance and Kevin Wade. So, just keep your hands raised, please, still, and we can really. Three, four, Angel, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
The abstentions, right?
10, these are abstentions, yeah. 10 abstentions.
Any opposed?
Okay, so you have Nick, Dr. DeBeacon, Sebastian, you have Debbie,
1 second.
Jim. And see in the back, Johanna, who's behind that? Johanna, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right, 1, 2, 3, oh, and Sergio, and Joy. So 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oh, and Joe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Did Marker get that? Because
You got 8
I'm not getting this.
opposed? Joy, Sergio, Debbie, Johanna, Nick, Dr. Wayne DeBeetham, Sebastian,
You have 8 opposed.
you have 8 opposed, right? You have 8 opposed?
How many present?
I think 23.
I
8 are opposed, 10 abstain. So
you should have the
18.
numbers right.
I know about, Georgia and Sylvia.
Oh, Georgia
And
and
so-
Sylvia and Lee.
And then who's for it?
Four.
Or,
Lee is
That's
for it.
Sylvia?
Lee is
Oh,
for
Lee
it.
is for it. Here.
Muting me.
Lee is.
Here it is on the screen.
Yeah. We'll go. So you have Daniel, you have Stephen, Bob Bender, Rashida, Mary Ellen, Ed, Laura, Rosemary, Marty,
Okay. I hope
and
Marker.
Daniel. Okay, and then, yeah, we get into them.
Julie, how do you vote?
Julie, how do you go? 4, and then we know what Lee said she's for it, right? So Sylvia,
For it.
and Georgia.
For it.
For it, okay.
Deb can vote.
Deb can't vote.
Okay, any blanks? Anybody?
I have a lot, I mean, we can do this.
Margaret, you have it, right?
No, Lee.
I can't-
We have Lee.
While she's counting, is there anything?
I know, I can't.
Constance?
Constance did,
Constance is saying.
Margaret's got it.
okay, good, thank you.
Ingrid,
Yeah, I don't have Ingrid.
how's your vote? Four?
All right, see you again.
David can't vote.
Omar? How'd you vote? Omar? Abstains? Can you mute Sylvia?
Sylvia, how did you vote?
She voted, just mute her.
For it.
Thank you.
Alright. Kevin, how'd you vote? Abstain, thank you, and Marty?
He's for it.
It's amended.
15 in favor.
Failed.
Okay, thank you everyone for a good conversation. Marty, do you have anything else to report? Marty, do you have more to report?
Done in many ways.
Well, thank you for your work on that. Okay, we'll go on to aging. Mary Ellen?
Hi, good evening. My next meeting is November 14th in the office at 4 p.m. I have an attorney speaking on elder law, wills and trust, and social security. I also, tomorrow, I'll be at a roundtable with Mayor Adams. Thank you, Alina, for making that possible. And that's it.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. The next is budget. David's on the line. David Gilman. Is he there?
Yep. He's unmuted.
Can you folks hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. you can.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I was unmuted for the whole meeting. Sorry about that. I've been here for the whole meeting and try to say that I was here for the roll call. But at any rate, I guess I haven't done a Zoom call in well over a year and didn't know the details, so I apologize for that. Anyway, just want to give a quick report. We conducted the fiscal year 2026 budget priorities public hearing for Community District 8 before the October board meeting. As usual, board members made minor changes to this committee's priorities, but there was not enough attendance at the subsequent board meeting for a quorum, so our chair called for another board meeting the following week where a quorum was achieved and the priorities were formally approved. As you heard, our district manager, Farham, informed that the priorities were then entered into OMB system before the October 31st deadline, and thus our fiscal year 2026 process is complete. Now, fiscal year 2027, that process begins next month. I encourage chairs to not wait until March or April, as many did this past year, but rather initiate your committee's discussions in December, in the coming weeks. Many choose to use the previous year's budget priority submission as a starting point for discussion. And that's fine, but you should also prod committee members to come up with new ideas, and I strongly encourage you to initiate these discussions shortly in December, not in the springtime. So I'm saying this to the chairs and to the committee members. You really should be discussing fiscal year 2027 capital expense budget priorities in the coming weeks, not well after New Year's. Thank you. Any questions? Sorry, any?
Thank you, David. Any questions for the budget chair, David Gilman? No questions, David. Thank you.
Hey, okay, thank you.
We'll go on to economic development. We're not reported this time. Next committee, education and libraries.
Sylvia?
I asked her to unmute, I asked her.
It's still up there.
She unmuted and she muted. No.
I want to ask her.
Sylvia, you have to unmute.
There we go.
Am I up?
Yes.
Okay, good evening. I distributed the minutes. I apologize that they were so late. The only thing that I want to bring to your attention, because it seems that there was some confusion about the staple of Rabbi Shem Tov from the Chabad of Riverdale for the Hanukkah lighting on December 29th. We were told last year that the SAPO office did not require them to, the entity to come to the board or the committee, and that we do not need to have a resolution. Therefore, the committee, my committee, the Education, Libraries and Cultural Affairs, approved the event because they've been doing it for over 30 years. It has never been a problem, and I was happy to do that. So I hope that that explains that when it's a religious event, the rules are a little bit different, and they do not have to appear before us, and they do not need a resolution in order to go forward. They do it all through the police department and the SAPO office. So I hope that clarifies it. That's my end of report.
Thank you, Sylvia. Any questions? Environment and sanitation, Daniel Rose.
Thank you. So we have a resolution before you that I brought before you last time, but there was not a quorum. As a symbolic urging of the EPA to adopt a non-protective determination in their 5-year review concerning Hudson River PCD cleanup, which we still need, maybe more than ever now. So other than a slight, I want to strike the final whereas, which is redundant. But other than that, I would want to vote on, or if someone would second, or we don't need a second, it was approved by the committee. But I would like to take it to a vote just to approve this with the full board without that whereas. Sorry, Artie, I forgot to say that earlier. But I don't call full votes, you do?
Okay, so this is coming from,
Put the mic.
it's coming from the committee, so any abstentions on this resolutions? Or any discussions prior? Discussions, any abstentions? Anyone opposed? So approved.
Thank you. Our next meeting will be next Wednesday, where DEP will come to talk about flood mitigation measures in the area, and sanitation department will come to talk about snow removal, because winter is coming.
Thank you, Daniel. Going to health and hospitals, anyone reporting for the rabbi? Who's the call? Housing, Rashida Hilliard.
Oh,
There we go.
you're on.
I'm on. Thank you. Good evening all, Rashida, Chair of Housing. So our next meeting will be November 25th on Bailey Avenue at the Community Center,
MMCC.
NMCC. We are planning to talk about tenants' rights and responsibilities, and we're hoping to have a guest speaker so that we
HPD.
can have a robust discussion. Are we having?
HPD will be there.
HPD will be there. So come one, come all. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashida. Land use?
Marty?
There were two important items on the land use agenda. Where they go? First item, and both of them were tabled. The first item was 3111 Henry Hudson Parkway, where the intent of the developer is to knock down a single-family home at that site and replace it with 7 attached houses. We had a problem with them relative to mostly trees. For one thing, they're cutting down the trees in front of that building, the intended buildings, and putting up 3-inch caliper trees on basically on the curbside, a little further onto his property. But we believe a 3-inch caliper tree is not gonna survive very long with the traffic going past the buildings. So we've asked them to rethink that. They want to put a couple of small trees in the back, in the yards of the 7 houses. And we've asked them to rethink that prospect as they had planned to. So we're moving on that. And as I said, it was tabled, and it'll be back to the December 2nd land use meeting. And hopefully they'll bring back the information we've been asking for. There was the question of the covenant, by the way. It works out, since they're putting up single-family homes, then the covenant no longer is being violated, and any threat of litigation has been withdrawn. The second item concerned Van Cortlandt Village. We had a number of representatives, people who live there, who felt they were extremely concerned about the intent of, by the way, the same developer, and what their plans were and how it would impact the neighborhood. The specific area we're talking about is the square block around the synagogue, and the houses are therefore. So we asked them to come back because there are many concerns. And as a result of the meeting that we had, Chuck established a subcommittee consisting of Indiana, Dan, Bob, Bender, and myself. And we spent our Veterans Day touring Van Cortlandt Village. Very exciting experience. Although we enjoyed the people we met and what we learned. We have a meeting scheduled, will be scheduled for November 25th, Monday, the week of Thanksgiving. We had to sneak this in somehow because we wanted a response for the Land Use Committee on December 2nd. So it'll be a 3-part meeting. We'll debrief on what we have seen and what we learned. We will allow for the community input into, and we're inviting all of the parties involved. So we want a full discussion, open discussion, and then the committee will go into its in public, will go into deliberation as to what, if any, actions we believe the committee and or the board should take. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Marty, did you say we have a subcommittee?
Word are you?
I must have missed that. Did we amend the bylaws to have subcommittees? I thought we didn't have subcommittees.
A special committee coming from the board requires a resolution by the board. Any committee can establish a subcommittee.
Rashida?
Oh, my question is just surrounding the date. You mentioned November 25th. I just was concerned because that's the the date of the housing?
We're equally concerned. Your meeting starts at
6.
I'm crossing my fingers. We're gonna start at 7:30. And we invite anyone who wants to come. And hopefully we will not be in conflict.
I have a history of having short meetings.
I look at a few minutes and I cross my fingers.
Thank you, Rashida. Any other questions? Okay, I'm just gonna go back. We have council member Karina Sanchez has joined us. Council member Sanchez?
Yeah, we asked to unmute.
There we go.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Good evening.
Can folks hear me?
Yes.
Okay, and see me. Looks like you have a packed house. Well, thank you. Sorry, I was trying to sneak on and just listen for a bit. But thank you for calling me up right away. I just put the little one down, so I appreciate being able to join you all. I mostly just wanted to have an opportunity to take questions if any folks had it. But while I'm here sharing a few updates from our team, especially on the legislative side. So we have, I think folks know, have introduced legislation to authorize the J51 tax incentive. We are in the sort of heat of negotiations on J51. I've been pushing really hard to pass by the end of the year. For those of you who are not familiar, J51 is a tax incentive that buildings of certain characteristics, so larger buildings, can take advantage of, especially co-ops, can take advantage of to make repairs in their buildings. And we're including in this updated version a broader set of costs, a broader cost schedule, so that you can have more kind of projects be covered under the tax incentive. And we're also taking suggestions. So if there are any suggestions that you would want to see reflected in the bill, please let us know. The authorization goes until 2026. So expenditures made between 2022 and 2026 could be have their cost abated through this tax incentive. And then we're going to have to go back to Albany and fight for a reauthorization soon after that. We had a hearing today in the Housing Committee on illegal lockouts and tenant safety. There were a number of bills that were heard there, and won't go into them, but lockouts are illegal and there's more that the city of New York could be doing. So some of my colleagues introduced legislation to address that. Next week, we have an important hearing on deed theft. We're packing in on all of the hearings these last few weeks. So if you're interested in that topic or you have questions, please let me know your questions so I can make sure to ask them of the administration, or please join us for testimony. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this the last time that I was able to join you, but I have introduced a reform legislation called the Housing Protection and Tenant HRPA. Housing and Resident Protection Act, which is a reform legislation for the third-party transfer program, which uses the city's foreclosure authority to go after the worst landlords. So just want to be very clear that it is a complete overhaul of the way that third-party transfer used to work, for those of you who are familiar. And it's really just an acknowledgement, right? Like we don't have a lot of powers in the city of New York when it comes to housing policy, unfortunately, and it pains me to admit that. But one of the things that we do have is this power of foreclosure. So revamping the way that we use that to go after only the worst actors in the city of New York is what the legislation does, and tries to, undo or certainly not repeat the harms of the past in terms of the racial concentrations we saw in these foreclosure actions in the past. and the negative outcomes. So couple of legislative updates there. Our office is always there. We're always willing to listen and have a conversation. Thank you to the leadership of Bronx Community Board 8. We met, I think, 2 weeks ago, and we went over line by line by line all of your budget priorities. So I just appreciate all of the meticulousness that went into that, and look forward to supporting so many of those asks, especially as they fall in District 14. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember. Does anyone have any questions? Okay,
David.
David Gelman.
Council member, yes, regarding this new recall on J51, would that include expenditures related to local law 11? Many buildings are finding it to be an every 5-year, 6, 7, or 8-figure expenditure, and on an ongoing basis, not something that, every 20 years, but every 5, certainly every 10 years, having to spend 6, 7, or 8 figures on local law 11.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, David. 2 things. One, the Department of Buildings and my committee are currently looking at a lot of different changes. There's a study being conducted by Thomas I always forget the name. Thomas Thormasetti, something like that is the name of the engineering firm that the city has contracted with to look at local law 11, to look at the implementation, the cycles, the reporting structure, all of it, and consider changes to the legislation or to the regulations. And there's like 12 different city council bills that I have heard in my committee and that are being negotiated between the administration and the council, also, to the end of considering changes to local law 11. So just want to make sure that that we are all over local law 11 and welcome recommendations and thoughts and everything like that, and happy to send you more information on the reforms. Second,
Yes, I would like to. I'm sorry.
No, just second on J51, this is the addition or inclusion of local law 11 expenditures is something that we have heard. I have brought that up to the committee. I need to double check on where we are in negotiations, but I did request the inclusion of local law 11 expenditures to be in the cost schedule.
Very good. Thank you. By the way, the firm is Thornton Tomasetti. A friend of mine happens to be an engineer for there. But, and who would I contact at your office to get more details?
On J51, on all of this, Ben Ratner, I'm gonna put his email since you're on Zoom and I'm on Zoom. Can I do that?
Yeah.
Can I put it in?
I can remember the name. I'll just call the office.
Yes, Ben Ratner. Yes, that's your guy.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Always.
Thank you. Council member, we have one more question from Karen Walker.
Member, who do we contact in your office to talk about the third-party transfer legislation that you are opposing?
Same person, our legislative and land use director, Ben Ratner.
Can you give us Ben's email or telephone number?
Sure, B as in boy, Ratner, RATNER @council.nyc.gov. And if you forget that or you didn't write it down, just email district14@council.nyc.gov and they'll route you to the right person.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you could also, if anyone else needs additional information, you can also contact the board office and they'll redirect you as well.
Madam Chair, just one more note that I forgot to mention at the risk of raising controversy. But on City of Yes, I just want to make sure that you all know we at the council are at the height of deliberations. We have your recommendations. I know my team has met with a subset of folks from CB8. The modifications, the council is on a clock to consider modifications for City of Yes by November 21st. So check in with us, check in with your council member if it's not me, just about how those conversations are going. So if there are any of the specific 72 proposals within City of Yes that you would want to see modified in a specific way, now is the time to remind us and let us know. And so the modifications will be completed. They're being negotiated right now. They would be voted on by November 21st. And then the full council, then the modifications go to the City Planning Commission, who will ensure that they're within scope. And if they are all within scope, then the City Planning Commission kicks it back to us for a full vote of the full body, by December 5th. So I may or may not be taking that vote over Zoom, depending on when little baby in here decides to come and join us. But I just wanted you to be aware of that schedule. And also, in case you didn't see, the speaker put out a sort of, I don't want to call it a counter proposal, but definitely a responsive proposal to City of Yes called City for All, that I have been extremely supportive of, which is a set of complementary investments that we're essentially demanding from the administration, because zoning on itself is not a solution to this housing crisis. I think I've heard many people on CB8 say that out loud. And thank you for those who joined for the City Council's 15-hour hearing. I was listening to all 15 hours because this is my jam. But the City for All is really a responsive plan that says zoning by itself is not an answer to the housing crisis. We need to see deep investments in XYZ, and there is all kinds of...
Attention, Riverdale Wyvern guests, the time is now 8:50, and the Y will be closing in 10 minutes.
Understood. I will stop talking as well. But thank you. I can share more about that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember. Okay, we're gonna go quickly on to the Parks and Recreations. Deb?
Yes.
Hey, everybody. I'll try to make this quick. We have two resolutions. I'm gonna put them together for one vote. They basically are almost identical. One is for a restaurant called Estrelita Poblana Taqueria Express, which is at 5975 Broadway near the 242nd Street subway. The other is Salvador's of Soho, which is at 238th and Riverdale Avenue. Both of these outdoor dining applications are for existing cafe, kind of the existing configuration of tables and chairs that the restaurants already have in front of them. This is just to assist with their compliance with new city regulations on outdoor dining. So these will not be in the right of way. These will be on the sidewalk. And they will just, they really represent just the status quo. Are there any questions regarding either of the resolutions?
Any questions? No questions. So then we'll go for the vote. Any abstentions? Any opposed? So approved.
Excellent. I refer you to my minutes for details on the Vital Parks for All presentation, and the update on the Parks Department provided at our last meeting on active capital projects. The next Parks Committee meeting is on Thursday, December 12th at 7 p.m. at the board office. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you, Deb. Next is traffic and transportation. The next, I'm sorry, Josh, I didn't hear you.
We have a traffic transportation meeting on Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
And you have to bring up the resolution.
The DDC will also come to speak on the sidewalks.
Okay, so then we'll also do a resolution that you have. Do you have the?
We also have resolutions.
Everyone read the resolutions? For traffic and transportation. Josh, do you have a copy with you? Okay. Does he have a mic?
No, I just have what's.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's your resolution.
Yeah. The Horace Mann was doing a homecoming event. That's the SAPO. So that was discussed at our last meeting.
Okay, good, thank you. And then we also had the dining out New York City sidewalk application. Did two of them have, they were in September?
Casa Tovala. That was discussed at the last meeting, September 19th.
So did,
That's you.
does anyone have any discussion on the two? Rosemary?
On the Horace Mann, resolution, there was, sorry, at the meeting, there was a request that, the Fields and Property Owners Association be informed, and that we would hear what they felt about the, application. In addition, there were a series, there was 7, 8, or 9 residences up the street that would be notified, and we would know what they thought about the application. Both of these things are in a whereas clause. I'm not aware that they were notified.
Attention Riverdale Wide, members and guests, the time is now 8:55 and we'll be closing in 5 minutes.
I'm not aware of whether they were notified or what their reaction was. That's my question, comment, that's it. Thank you.
We received no response on that. We can ask them again, but please note that this event has already occurred. Yeah, but we can ask again for our records to make sure. Well, for our records to put in the system, it would be good to vote on.
Okay, so Carol will get back to you in regards to those two items. Any other questions, comments? Okay, so anybody opposed? Opposed? Any abstentions? All others approved. Thank you, Josh. Okay, so the next. I didn't forget you guys. Hold on one second. You?
Number 2, add vote the
Next meeting's Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You got it in anyway.
Just a reminder, I do have an agenda, I do know that I skipped, I do know that. There's a reason because he has a lot of resolutions going. But I still have the, Mr. Green?
Public safety resolutions. I know everybody has read these, so I'm not gonna go over these, please. So there was no quorum at the previous board meeting, so we couldn't vote on them. We have 11 resolutions. I want to vote on 10 of them in one vote and one separately. So the 10 we had for September 17th and the 15th. You guys all have the resolutions. The committee approved all of them unanimously. There was no prior notable disturbances or complaints of any of these establishments. And I want to call a vote since we have 3 minutes.
Okay, any discussions? Abstention? Opposed? Approved.
Okay, so the last one of the 10, it was a renewal for Tijuana Nights, 216 West 242nd Street. The committee disapproved this application unanimously. I hope everybody read the resolution. I won't go through the many complaints about this business from residents throughout the neighborhood. So our committee disapproved this application unanimously. So we will be voting to approve the disapproval of this application. Julie?
Okay, discussions? Abstentions?
Abstention.
One abstention, Sergio? Opposed? Approved.
And I have more, but I won't say it. That's it. Have a good night, folks.
Go ahead. Bob Bender, do you have anything to report for special committee on Hudson River Greenway?
There's no report, thank you. And I will advise when we schedule the next meeting.
Thank you, Bob. Margaret, special committee on racial equity.
Hi, everyone. SCREE, as it's affectionately known as. We had our first meeting of the calendar year, or excuse me, of the fiscal year. I wanted to draw everyone's attention to our webpage, which has the resources, or the resource guide on combating hate. we're going to be converting that into a flyer so that it can be posted in the community with multiple languages. We also wanted to acknowledge that the Equal Rights Amendment passed in New York State. And that in terms of the upcoming budget process, we want to just recognize all of the chairs and committees, the work that they've done to elevate priorities to advance equity in our district. And we are strongly encouraging that chairs and committees utilize equity as the top priority in vetting any opportunities that are coming up. So we encourage you to consider that as part of your deliberations for funding priorities. Then I will mention just broadly that SCREE is looking to build a conversation around what is our vision for what we see in the future. What does our community really want?
Attention, Riverdale Y and the guest, the time is now 9 p.m. and the Y is now closed. The Y will open tomorrow, Wednesday at 5:30 a.m. Have a good evening.
The steps that we're going to take in order to build community over chaos. And so we ask that everyone participate and be involved in SCREE. Our next meeting will be the first Thursday in January. And before that, I just want to flag that there is an incredible opportunity, an upcoming fellowship application deadline. This is We Are the Bronx Fellowship Against Hate. This is an application that's due by Friday, November 29th. And this is an opportunity for people, I know some community board members have participated in the past, but this is an opportunity for folks who are like-minded in the sense of working to combat hate in our borough and in our city. So please take a look at the SCREE minutes and make sure that you access that link, and please share it with your contacts. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. We'll go on to Special Committee on Veterans Services. Sergio?
Thank you. Happy Veterans Month, everyone, and happy Veterans Day, belatedly. We had a very good Memorial Grove event. For those of you who were there, it was very well attended. Next year's will be November 3rd, so put it in your calendar. I also testified on behalf of the board at the Veterans Committee and the Council, the Mental Health Committee on PTSD and Veterans Outreach. Please keep veterans in mind, and if you see one, there are services available. Get to them, please, get them connected. That's really important. And I thank everyone who supported the event and everyone on my committee. And that's it. I did want to ask, I had a question. I want to congratulate the Public Safety Committee on their new policy of not having businesses who don't have an issue show up in the middle of their dinner time. That's a long time coming. Congratulations. That needs to be recognized.
2 more minutes, I would have been asked.
Yeah, I know that. I got you. That's why I put it in. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Right.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Sergio, and thank you for testifying on behalf of the board. Thank you, and a very nice event you had. Okay, so now we'll go on to the treasurer's report.
Good evening, everyone. This is the November Treasurer's Report. Item 1, we have $213,264 left in our annual budget. The breakout is 1.1, other than personal services. 4264 has been spent to date. 1.2, no budget logs. 1.3, 0 funds requested, 0 encumbered. In terms of item 1.4, rent and energy, we have 31,644 remaining. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, so then I'll go on to the chair's report. Most of mine is in the executive minutes. The only thing that I will say is that I also testified at the city council's hearing on the City of Yes for housing opportunity. And David, if you're still on the line, you had asked for a copy of it at the exec meeting. You will have a copy tomorrow. Let me see. Then I asked the board members and the public, if you have a meeting location within your community, please contact the board office so we can look to see if it's a viable location for us to hold meetings. We'd like to spread out into the whole community district again. And if you have any community newspapers, please give us the information so that we can also get into the local newspapers. Okay, and then I'll take David's question, and then I just have one more point before David. David?
David, are you coming on?
David, you have to unmute, your hand is up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it took 3 times to, get the unmute through. I thought I heard you mention my name for tomorrow.
No, I mentioned you had asked for a copy of my report when I was president of the city council's hearing for the city of Housing of Yes. I mentioned that you will get a copy of my presentation tomorrow.
Hi, okay, thank you, sorry. You're very muffled, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then any other questions? And I see the representatives have your hands up. You'll be up in about 1 minute. I just have a motion to amend the agenda to not go into executive session later on this evening. An issue that I thought we'd be prepared for this evening. We're not completely ready, so I'd just like to amend the agenda. Mary Ellen, second. Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, so moved. Okay, so that's it with my report. Anybody have any questions? Okay, so now we'll go on to miscellaneous. We have representatives from the District Attorney's office.
Jeffrey Pena.
Hello, good evening. My name is Jeffrey.
Put you on the clock. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Jeffrey Pena. I'm a community engagement coordinator at the Bronx District Attorney's Office. We are having a canned food and coat drive at our office. There's a bin in the lobby of 198 East 161st Street. If you're interested in donating, please feel free to stop by our office. I believe the donations should be tax deductible. Also, we are partnering with Destination Tomorrow on a Thanksgiving dinner and turkey giveaway. We are donating 50 turkeys in partnership with the National Black Prosecutors Association. We are also expecting to receive 3 pallets of canned food from Easy Living Shelter. So the Thanksgiving dinner and turkey giveaway will take place on Wednesday, November 27th from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Destination Tomorrow. And I have emailed all the flyers for those events to the board. So if you're interested, please reach out to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Now we have representatives from Senator Robert Jackson's office, Dario Quinsac.
I don't know.
Okay, then we also have representative from Senator Gustavo Rivera's office, Brent Schneider.
Just 10 seconds. How you guys doing? We have way too many these bags. If anyone has any clue where we could give them away, please. Oh, very good. There we go. Sounds good. All right. Have a good one, guys.
Great.
Thank you, Brent. Thank you, Brent, and good meeting that we had with you in the Senator. Okay, our next are there any other representatives there? Excuse me? No. Okay. Our next meeting will be December 10th.
We don't know.
Julio, are you representative from any elected official?
Hi, good evening, Community Board 8. Can you guys hear me?
Are you a representative for an elected official?
No, I'm actually a community construction liaison for the Department of Construction and Design. So I'm just updating with the construction work that's happening along Van Cortlandt Park South, between Hillman, Saxon, and Dickinson Avenue. So I'm just introducing myself as a liaison between the project and the board.
Thank you. We'll have our district manager contact you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
Great, thank you.
Next meeting, December 10th, motion to adjourn. Mary Ellen, who wants to stay? Thank you all for your patience this evening. Thank you.